This movie feels like, to me, I was thinking about this last night, this movie feels like in every aspect, somebody who was trying their best looked at another person across the room who was also trying their best and doing something else, go, hey, does this look okay to you? And that other person went, yeah, I think so. And then they just called that approved.
Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm just a friar.
And this week, we extend our spooky season with Van Helsing. Before we wolf it up with Hugh Jackman, remember you can help us on Mortify the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron?
It's All Hallows Eve. Due to some unfortunate realizations about the storytelling methods used in the Digimon series, we are going to postpone that episode until we have enough time to fully digest the long-form narrative that's going on in that program. So instead, we decided to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, I was watching Van Helsing last night, and I tweeted about it, and you were like, so... It's been a while since I've seen Van Helsing, and now here we are.
Oh, it was really... We have to be honest with our listeners. The main draw was Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, we are a Hugh Jackman fan podcast, which is something we realized whatever the last Hugh Jackman thing we watched was.
Was it Greatest Showman?
It might have been.
Okay.
Because he just has so much fun. And it's infectious to watch. And so, you know, we love Mr. Ackman and we love following his career. So here we are.
Yes. And Mr. Ackman, as you called him, has done a great job in this here film. Leyla, when was the first time you watched the 2004 Van Helsing?
This was one of those movies that I have a very distinct memory of just like watching on my parents' couch when I was like probably sick at home from school or something. I was really into, well, I'll tell you why I watched it. So when I was a kid, I was really into the anime/manga Helsing, which was completely age inappropriate for me. And I saw Van Helsing and I went, ooh, could it be? It wasn't, but boy howdy was it a gift.
Yes. Similarly, I have a very distinct memory of the first time I saw this movie, which was in the car on the road to the national chess tournament. My dad was driving me and some of my chess teammates, and we had one of those vans that had like a DVD player in it.
Ooh.
And you know, some of the older boys had brought this movie, and I was like maybe 10 at the time, 9 or 10 when I watched this. So I was terrified of this movie. It was, you know, I was watching it to be cool with the big kids, but like I was so scared of it. And that's why I remember this. And, you know, coming back, like I was like, okay, I see why I was scared. There's some like intense stuff going on here, but now I can truly appreciate it as just like this wild, I don't want to say campy, but like very over the top melodramatic, you know, action movie that is very typical of that, you know, mid 2000s era. And I'm so glad we revisited it.
Yeah, I think it takes itself just like a little bit too seriously for it to be truly camp. Mm-hmm. But boy, howdy does that not matter because it's wild.
Not at all. Do you want to try to tackle the plot summary?
Oh my god. I mean, yeah, sure. I'll voice your notes here.
Mm-hmm.
So the Vatican sends Hugh Jackman to go kill Dracula before he can use Frankenstein's monster as a battery to give life to his sack children. And if he doesn't go kill Dracula, then this family that has been trying to kill Dracula for 400 years is just going to stay in purgatory forever, I guess.
Can we... Leyla, what is your understanding of the Catholic concept of purgatory, real quick?
All I know about it is what Dante's Purgatorio had to say about it, which is it's just like walking up a mountain with your buddies, I think.
Interesting. So
I don't know, man.
that's an artful way to describe it, but basically what I learned in Catholic school is purgatory is where you go to atone for your sins. So like it is, the promise of heaven. If you're in purgatory, great, you will get to heaven eventually, but it is like hell though. Purgatory is the same as hell, except there is the promise of heaven at the end, whereas hell is just you're always there and you can't get to heaven. So it sucks, and it's like very terrible that this family would be condemned there, but also wild stakes for this movie.
They tell kids that?
They certainly tell high schoolers that.
All right, that's a lot to unpack. Yeah. Yeah, so they get stuck in purgatory, but the reason they would get stuck in purgatory is because the ancestor of Anna swore that his family would be stuck in purgatory unless he could kill Dracula, who is his son. And Dracula made a deal with the devil to avoid being killed. So basically, this was a self-imposed punishment. It was really weird.
He didn't have to promise that.
Yeah, he could have just died, and his family would have been fine. So they kill Dracula's 3 brides, Van Helsing and Anna, this, I guess, ancestral vampire hunter lady. They kill one of Dracula's brides. They discover her brother is being controlled by Dracula because he's a werewolf. Dracula's like, I have a cure. And Anna's like, we need the cure. And then that's a Chekhov's cure, because you later find out that only a werewolf can kill Dracula. And oh no, Anna's brother has bitten Van Helsing, so now he's going to be a werewolf. Oh, damn me. So Van Helsing and Anna fall into the old windmill where Frankenstein's monster lives. That's from the prologue. They try to take him to Rome, but get ambushed by the other Dracula brides. And they're stuck in Transylvania. Anna is captured to be traded for the monster. She gets to go to like a cool ball with all the vampires, and Dracula's like, be my bride. And she's like, no. But honestly, I think she should have taken the deal.
Honestly, the greatest tragedy is that neither Van Helsing nor Anna team up with Dracula here at the end.
Absolutely, 100%. Dracula is camp in this movie. So Van Helsing, they go to the Dracula's castle. They find the like secret door to Dracula's ice castle, and they go to the castle, and everyone has to like fight the brides. And Dracula has a big action sequence and whatever. They have to save Frankenstein, and Van Helsing turns into a werewolf, and he's gonna kill Dracula. This big fight, and it's weird. And then they have to turn Van Helsing back by the 12th toll of midnight, because I guess vampiric curses have a recognition of a human time system. That's fun.
Yeah. The thing about lycanthropy is that extremely dependent on time zones.
It's extremely punctual lycanthropy. So, he defeats Dracula. Anna gets up there. He accidentally kills her. She stabs him with a needle before she dies. And then he turns back and holds her in the funniest ragdoll way you could ever hold a woman. Anna dies and then appears in the sky like a Force ghost. And that's the movie.
It is a wild film, but I think it is kind of a fun ride the whole time. Like, there's maybe 1 or 2 scenes in total where there's like a 30-second conversation. Beyond that, it's just like action sequences and like very fast. Like, this movie just fucking goes. Like, I just noticed that the scene that Van Helsing meets Anna, who is like, their relationship is arguably the most important in the entire movie. That whole scene lasts 30 seconds before the fucking vampire brides descend and start eating people. It's just like, all right, sure, why not? There's no room for reflection in this film at all, and it rules.
Yeah, and the other thing I think I'll say about it is that this is not a film you should be watching by yourself. This is very much a get some friends in a room, and so everyone could call out a different wild thing that they spotted. Because holy shit, is there a lot going on the screen at any given time.
It's incredible. We get fucking repeating crossbows. We get, murderer Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Ogre Man. We get Vatican PowerPoints. It's awesome.
Oh, the Vatican PowerPoints are a lot. But you know what? I appreciate an organized bitch. So,
listen, the Catholic Church is nothing but structured. Shall we talk about the characters, quote-unquote characters in this great film?
I guess so.
I mean, we got to start with Mr. Jackman himself, Van Helsing, Gabriel Van Helsing. What did you think of him?
First of all, bitch can't aim. Let's get that out of the way.
Awful. Zero trigger discipline.
Zero trigger discipline. Can't aim for shit. Definitely a close combat kind of motherfucker, and yet nobody will let him do close combat. He is very both trying to be suave, but also trying to be like a funky little amnesiac. And there's a lot happening, and his hat doesn't fit good. If I sound like I'm not making any sense, it's because I can't, like, synthesize my thoughts about this movie. Aaron, how did you feel about him?
Yeah, I mean, he's very much like, mid-2000s action protagonist, like, sensitive to a point, but also, like, very edgy and, like, "Rawr, I'm a big, strong man that loves to fight." That's about it. He's fine, and he says the bad lines that he's given with, more gravitas than they deserve, and that's what Hugh Jackman's for, baby.
Yeah, I think we love Hugh Jackman for his earnestness in every project. Anna is, I think, in the same vein as Van Helsing, your typical leading lady for 2004. She runs around in a very wild, like, Nomura style Final Fantasy corset, and
yeah, it's a battle corset for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot. Very tight pants, and I think, area inappropriate patterned shirt. I kept looking at it and I kept trying to figure out where that embroidery was coming from. I think they were trying to give it like a little bit of a Slavic tint, but I'm like, I don't think that's correct. This movie feels like, to me, I was thinking about this last night, this movie feels like in every aspect, somebody who was trying their best looked at another person across the room who was also trying their best and doing something else, go, "Hey, does this look okay to you?" And that other person went, "Yeah, I think so." And then they just called that approved.
I think you're 100% correct. It's very much like, is this good enough? Yeah, probably. Hell yeah. I'm like, listen, I have 100% been there.
Same. I respect it, honestly. I think there's a place for it. But so yeah, Anna, she's she's like hot, and she keeps offering Van Helsing a drink, but she's hard to get. So she's like, "Help yourself to the bar." And she's soft, so she keeps trying to save her werewolf brother, even though, Anna, that's not your brother anymore. It's like that. It's like that.
Very much so. Like, I don't know if this is the starting point for where, like, we need strong women protagonists that are exactly like the strong men protagonists, in that they love to do violence, and that's it. And, like, I feel like this is exactly that era where it's like, yeah, women can kill people too. But
even then, like, for a famed vampire hunter, she's kind of incompetent.
I mean, Van Helsing, I feel, is also a little incompetent. Like, there's a sequence where he, like, stabs Dracula through the heart with a stake, and Dracula's like, "Yeah." And then it cuts to him talking to Anna, and Anna's like, "Do you think we didn't fucking try that, Van Helsing? It's vampire hunting 101. Of course we did the holy water with the stake, my guy." Which is really funny.
That's true. Yeah, it's just, it's one of those things where I think maybe she should have gotten a cool new weapon from Carl. I think maybe that would have helped her case. Do you have any feelings about her or Velkin Valerius?
Velkin's fine. I think that Velkin is mainly in there to give her motivation, which is, that's good. Sometimes we need to kill a man to motivate a woman, and I think that's feminism.
Yes.
So I'm happy about that. He's fine. Arguably the real star of the show Count Vladislaus Dracul. He is the most over the top in every way, and he fucks.
He's so funny from the moment he walks onto any scene he's in. He's got a ponytail with like an artful strand of hair hanging down every once in a while if he's frustrated. He wears all black, as he should. And he is there to give dramatic monologues while his wives writhe artfully in the background with whatever emotion they're feeling. like nobodies from Kingdom Hearts, or like those inflatable things in front of car dealerships, but sexy.
They're extremely like Kingdom Hearts Dusks, just like
We're so in the background. So Dracula's whole thing is that he just like his emotions flip on a switch, and the best line he could possibly deliver was like, and his wives after the first batch of babies didn't make it, his wives are like, try again, have you no heart? And he literally jumps off a building to be like, I have no heart, no feelings, I feel no joy, no sadness. And it's the best monologue in the fucking world because he is clearly pissed off delivering it.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, I love it. It's just completely 100% like melodrama. He is giving these lines what they deserve, which is like, not taking it seriously whatsoever. And I think that rules.
Now, you did mention you wanted him to team up with Van Helsing. Can you give us like a IMDb summary of that AU that you've got cooking?
Okay. Alt universe, Van Helsing takes the bargain with Dracula, after Anna is killed. Turns out Carl was a plant by the Vatican, in an attempt to, wipe out he tries to stab Van Helsing at the end with the stake. He misses. He stabs Anna, and he's like, "Oh no, I was sent by the Vatican to kill all these creatures." And he retreats to the Vatican. So now Dracula and Van Helsing have to team up to infiltrate St. Peter's Basilica. We get a great funny sequence of them, needing help from. I guess this takes place in the 18th century, so I think the Ottoman Empire still exists, so they have to enlist the help of some Ottoman guy, and they have like a scene where they have to steal something from what is the mosque in Istanbul, the very famous one? The Hagia Sophia mosque. Yeah. They get some sort of secret weapon that has like a key. They unlock the vault of St. Peter's Basilica, and they do the Assassin's Creed 2 thing where they fist fight the Pope. Which is, that's all I can ask for.
Do you think the Pope has supernatural powers in this one?
Oh, 100%. The Pope is like definitely some sort of, maybe not, I don't want to say vampire because that's a little bit on the nose, but like probably some sort of creature that I'm trying to make a good pool. Like maybe a dragon. Maybe the Pope is a dragon, and it's like, oh, that's why they're collecting all the tithes.
Maybe the Pope is a dragon.
Yes, exactly. And then they, Dracula, Van Helsing, Carl realizes the error of his ways. They all team up, and with the power of Anna's ghost, they kill the dragon Pope.
Yes, Anna's Force Ghost has to make an appearance. Absolutely. No, I would watch this. I would pay to watch this. I think that would be great. Van Helsing 2, road trip. Fantastic. You did mention Carl. How do you feel about our boy Carl? He's just a friar.
I mean, he is just a friar. I think he's good. He's a fine comic relief / James Bond Q character. He's like, here's all my funky gadgets that don't make any sense in the 18th century, but whatever. He has like a light grenade that kills a ton of vampires. He has the repeating crossbow. Also what you pointed out, that he is the guy who played Faramir in The Lord of the Rings. Uh-huh. And he also plays, I want to say Dionysus in 300. He's the narrator of that movie, which is how I recognized him. Like, that dude, like, is kind of great. He rules. And we love a friar who's like, oh, well, I'm going to have sex with this lady because, I'm only a friar. I haven't taken the vows yet, so it's fine. And it's like, you know what? Sure. He helps make this movie, continue to move along, and he's a fine comic relief character.
Absolutely. I think he did a fantastic job. What about the wives? Anything other than them being sexy inflatables?
That's all that matters, though. They do have some like very like silly, like, oh, this man was 30 years old, so his blood was perfectly aged, and they're drinking his blood out of like wine cups, and like
his blood, which is clearly fucking tomato juice because it leaves that residue on the fucking cup.
It's really funny. None of them have really distinct personalities. They're all just like horny and love to murder, and like that's great. That's all I want.
Their mouths are always open. That's just like a facet of the vampires. Their mouths are always open.
You have to be reminded at every scene that they have fangs, and you are.
get your money's worth out of those prosthetics. You know what I mean? I do like that when they go like vampire. Well, I like two things. So one, when they go like full vampire, I like that their jaws just like become unhinged. I think that's very fun. Big long face. I also like that to transform into their cool bat forms, I guess they have to do a cute little spin with their little dresses.
They spin around and smoke goes everywhere. It's great. I love it.
A great transformation. I think it's fantastic, and this movie is great.
Yeah. So like, Leyla, we've watched a lot of stuff for this podcast, but like, I struggle to think. As you're talking, I'm gonna look through our episode list and see if I can find another property that is from this era. But like, I feel like Van Helsing is like very typical of this mid 2000s era, which has like this corny CGI, this like edgy aesthetic, which is like, oh, he's a anti-hero because he kills people, but he's also good. And like, I just was like, wow, this really was what movies were like back in the day.
I mean, honestly, I think we've maybe hit this same vibe outside of live action films. Like, I think we've maybe found like some quintessential mid 2000s anime in our searches, but I think in terms of feature films, this is it. This is peak. This is the gold mine. This is what we feel, because it was all like that. Like, you brought up 300, that was from that era. Every movie from that era, like every big action blockbuster, had to be a couple of things. Like you said, it had to be edgy. You said bad CGI with the one-liners, you know. I think the other thing that we're missing from the quintessential mid-2000s movie soup is a healthy seasoning of it being visually disgusting.
That's true. There wasn't quite enough like blood splatter in this one. We got a couple, like when the babies explode, we get like green goop.
Well, that's
like,
what I mean, though. It's very like squelchy. I feel like every movie from this era had to be at least a little bit like goopy.
Very wet.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's wet.
So I just looked through our episode list, and I think that the property that this is closely aligned to actually is Code Lyoko.
That's what I mean. Like, we've hit, like, outside of feature film, like, we've really hit the quintessential nature of, like, Code Lyoko. And I think Death Note is another one that I think
so true.
Really hits that time period. But in terms of feature films, live action feature films, like, this is it. So basically, we just need to find, like, a play, and we'll just EGOT the mid-2000s.
Oh, God. What? Listeners, write in. What is the edgiest play from the mid-2000s that you could think of?
Oh, Lord. Well, I'll tell you what it should be. It should be Hugh Jackman doing a musical adaptation of this movie, because Hugh Jackman does musicals now.
Do you think he hasn't tried?
Honestly, I would be shocked if he hasn't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, every other day, I hear some new wild thing about Hugh Jackman doing musical shit. Mostly from you.
Ding, 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 ding. Hugh Jackman fact. Him and the guy who plays Frankenstein's monster in this movie were both in a production of Oklahoma together.
Oh my God. Oh, who did they play?
Hugh Jackman plays Curly, and I think that might be the lead because he's on the poster and his name is really, really big on it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect, actually. I can't think of a better place for Hugh Jackman to live than in the melodrama of Oklahoma. That's very, very important. Yeah, no, this movie really does have it all. Like, especially, I am flabbergasted by the change in the quality of writing that we see, just in 10 years from this film to something like Pacific Rim, where like we still get like the, over the top action sequences and like kind of corny, one-liners, but like Pacific Rim doesn't believe in them necessarily, or if it does, it knows exactly why they're being deployed. Like, fucking, we are canceling the apocalypse is not something that any real person says, but Pacific Rim doesn't really want to ground itself in realism, whereas Van Helsing is like, yeah, this machine gun crossbow, this is realistic because you have to reload it. And it's like, I don't know why we just fired all writers for a decade, but like, you can tell that the writing is just so different in this era.
Well, they did go on strike.
That is true. I remember that in 2007, 2008, I want to say.
Yes, they did go on strike. So that was It was post Van Helsing. I feel like I'm going to start judging time in general as pre Van Helsing.
Yeah,
post Van Helsing.
AVH, yeah, that's our new time scale.
But I mean, like, here's the thing I miss about, I guess, this era of movie making, because you have a really great point. I think there cannot be a Pacific Rim without Guillermo del Toro seeing movies like Van Helsing and saying, I could probably do that better.
Guillermo del Toro is the man watching the two other people being like, oh, this is fine, and being like, no, this isn't fine. You're almost there, I promise.
There's something there, which is a thing we love to say on this program. But I think the thing I miss about like that era of movie making and like making media in general is that companies would just like try shit. Like, you have to try something like Van Helsing. Like, that's not going to be... You have to be very lucky for something like Van Helsing to be hit the ball out of the park on the first run. But because Van Helsing collected some real rude reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, as we were looking yesterday, that way other action movies like this could thrive. And, as we're sitting here in the age of reboots, which we'll get to that, it's just a bummer because I miss things being tried.
That's such a good point because, like, I know the name Van Helsing because of this movie, but, like, I guarantee you the vast majority of people have not read Bram Stoker's Dracula, where the character originates from. Like, I still have not and do not plan on reading that book. And, like, listen, like, it is so interesting that they were like, let's take this, important but not well-known character from Dracula and like trying to turn it into something like a new weird franchise for no reason. And like, I kind of love that, right? We will talk about reboots, but like it is such a shame that we are not seeing more new things like this, even though that like this movie wasn't a flop. Movie was it made about double its budget, which means like it probably broke even, which is like great, good for them.
Well, making double its budget means double its budget.
I thought it was like you have to make double your budget to be considered to break even.
Oh boy, I am not a budgets person. I'm pretty sure I don't know. Movie fans, chime in. I'm pretty sure if you make back your budget, you just make back your budget. Okay. And that's enough. I think you start making money after, like, in terms of royalties, after you make back your budget, but you just have to pay back your investors first. Okay, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But like, it's such a rarity these days for us to see, big blockbusters that are completely original, right? We haven't, we're about to start getting new fucking Marvel movies again. And, over on Bible Boys, we just watched, the Conjuring series, which continues to make movies because like...
And slanders bisexuals for a while.
Oh, really?
No, not the movies. I don't know. I've never seen the movies, and I probably won't because I've now listened to about 6 podcasts about that whole universe. And
sorry,
Michael. No, don't apologize. I was very entertained, but there was some bisexual, not slander, loving slander in there for one of the episodes. And honestly, fellas, next time at me, just at me.
You're welcome for that. But like, yeah, I hope that we are slowly emerging from this era. I think we talk about this constantly. It's like, I just wish people would stop rebooting things. And this does make me nostalgic for a time where people were just like throwing flops against the wall. Like nothing was like really popping off. And like, but it was still original and weird. And like, there was something to that, even if the quality of the writing was like pretty dog shit.
Yeah, I try to remember that whenever I get kind of down about all these reboots and live action remakes and whatever, I do try to remember that for a while, the only movies we were getting were parody movies. Like
Oh my God, that was also emblematic of this era, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you started out with Scary Movie, and then Scary Movie got so successful that it was like they parodied 300, they did Vampire Movie, they had a ton of them, and that was forever, and I didn't think we were getting out of that, and it was about 5 years, and then... we finally got some original stuff around the like 2010s, early 2010s when I was going to film school. That being said, none of those properties really printed money like Marvel does. So like, who's to say how much longer we'll be, you know, living in this era of media? But I think you're 100% right. Like, it's just, there's something charming about these, like, weird properties that just were spaghetti thrown at a wall, and, like, you really got to just watch it and be like, damn, you had something. You really went for it. Not sure what it was, but I liked it. And I think a lot of that is right now coming out of movie spaces from, like, outside the U.S. I think particularly out of Asia, East Asia.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Parasite, we've seen Squid Game, like, you know, South Korea specifically is doing a phenomenal job.
Exactly. So, you know, this is an encouragement to watch those things, and just watch some people try some shit. Because it's, if somebody gave me money and was like, Leyla, try some shit, I'd be like, oh, I'm about to have a belt budget like Nomura.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like if we got, you know, this movie's had a budget of $160 million. If somebody gave us $160 million, we would make something wild that barely anybody liked, but it would still be fucking crazy. And, like, that's what I want to aspire to.
We would make the Dragon Pope movie.
Yes, exactly. And it would be completely incomprehensible, but it would fuck, is all I'm saying.
Listen, Universal, hear me out. Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, whichever one of you bitches is left, hear us out. We want to make a movie about a pope who is also a dragon, who gets punched in the face by a vampire hunter, werewolf, buddy cop duo. Call us. We'll have a treatment ready by next week.
Trust us, it'll be good. Something that's even more fascinating to me than the mid-2000s era of filmmaking is perhaps the career arc of Mr. Jackman, which I understand you have some research to enlighten us about. But, like, it is so wild that, like, you know, Hugh Jackman for a long time was known for making, you know, for being Wolverine in all the X-Men films. But, like, Wolverine really isn't his defining trait. His defining trait is doing wild, weird shit. And, you know, we talked about, you know, this in Greatest Showman, but, like, Mr. Jackman is just really out here with some stuff.
And not just as an actor. I would like to take us back to just post the Van Helsing days, in the year of our Lord 2006, the year that gave us Death Note, and me in 6th grade. And Mr. Jackman executive produced a television program called An Aussie Goes Barmy.
What?
Yes. That is a television program from 2006 that is a reality show about cricket. Mr. Jackman executive produced that.
Okay.
He similarly produced in 2008 An Aussie Goes Bally, which is a cricket documentary with Hugh Jackman in it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he narrates it, and it's his friend who plays cricket is the star of it. So there's also in 2009, wait for it, we're not done with the Aussie series. It's the Aussie Goes Calypso.
What?
And it's another thing Hugh Jackman narrates. So, you know, we love that for him.
Okay.
Mr. Jackman had a couple of roles before. We mentioned Oklahoma. He was just doing kind of whatever. A lot of television roles, actually, before he hit his X-Men stride. So he only did X2, X-Men United, before doing Van Helsing, and then he did a bunch of other X-Men films. Mr. Jackman has lent his vocal talents to several animated films, among which are Happy Feet, Flushed Away,
what?
And Rise of the Guardians.
Oh my god!
We know him also as Jean Valjean in Les Miserables.
Of course, naturally.
Naturally, of course. As we said, he's also in Oklahoma. He loves himself a musical. We've covered The Greatest Showman on this program. I would like to also let you know that there is The Greatest Showman, come alive, live performance that is on video that was recorded the same year as Love Never Dies, 2017, that is available. And let this be, as I wrap us out, of a little bit of a dive into, I'll say a gloss over the career of Mr. Jackman. A little bit of foreshadowing for this program, listeners. He did play Blackbeard in Pan, which is a movie we will be watching. So,
oh, y'all, I cannot wait for that horrible, horrible day when we finally watch the Pan 2015 film.
Yeah, so that'll be probably early next year because we've got November plotted out. December, longtime listeners will know we do some fun end of year stuff for 2 weeks in December, and then we take 2 weeks off. But when we come back, Pan time, baby.
Oh, we'll have. God, we will be singing and dancing with Mr. Jackman in Pan for sure. God. Also, really quickly, we cannot let this pass. At the end of Van Helsing, we learn that the director leaves a little note in the credits. He says, "Dedicated to my dad." Which, like, I don't want to make fun of somebody dedicating their creative work to, a deceased family member. But also, I think it is a little wild to dedicate the Van Helsing movie to your dad. Leyla, what do you think is the best way to dedicate your work to a loved one?
Oh, I think it's this.
Okay, you personally think this actually rules.
Oh, personally speaking, honestly, after I die, I need to make some filmmaker friends who will dedicate some wild shit to me. Because you know what? I hope this man's father, this director's father, I genuinely hope he supported the craft. You know what I mean? Like, I hope he knew that his child was up to some wild fucking shit in Hollywood, and that a movie that made back its budget and then some was dedicated to him. Like, Father, here I am. I've come so far. I've made Van Helsing and Hugh Jackman is in it. He's not that big right now, but boy, howdy will he. He will be. So I think this rules personally, and I hope that I get as wild of a dedication after my passing. Aaron, how do you feel about it? Do you have, how would you have dedicated?
I don't know that I have that kind of relationship with my parents that I could dedicate, something this personal to them. Oh,
you think this was a personal labor of love?
Oh yeah, for sure. I just know. I feel like if I was making a Van Helsing movie, my parents would not be thrilled that I dedicated it to them. But I as somebody who is an aspiring author, I do often think about, like, how I would dedicate a book to someone, or, a concept or whatever. And like, I don't know. I don't know how I would pull it off. I do, I think, like, if I did dedicate something to someone, it would probably be to my wife. But I am wondering, Leyla, of your work, specifically I'm thinking of Astral Heart. Who do you think is the most appropriate person to dedicate Astral Heart to?
It would be Mr. Nomura. And no, sorry, it would also be Rumiko Takahashi. It would be for those two people.
Great.
And
Good.
Kota Hirano, who wrote Helsing. It would be those three. I keep thinking of, like, anime that influenced me as a child. But I think that for the melodrama, I really owe them something. So it would just be like a blanket thank you to my heroes. You will never see this. I think that would be the dedication.
That's incredible. All right, we talked about it. We hinted at it earlier. They are rebooting this movie, so...
Yeah, so tell me about this.
I'm going to read straight off the Wikipedia. So in May of 2012, Universal Pictures announced they were going to be rebooting the film. They wanted Tom Cruise to be Van Helsing, which, like, all right.
Tom Cruise could be Dracula after his performance as Lestat in Interview with a Vampire.
Interview with a Vampire, yeah. That could be good. The problem is that Cruise played, what was in The Mummy, the 2016 reboot. We were actually considering watching the original Mummy for this one, but you probably only know the 2016 Mummy from that trailer that dropped without proper SFX editing, and it was just wild. But, like, Yeah, apparently that movie didn't do good, and because everybody was like, "Oh, that movie sucked," maybe they're not going to bring Van Helsing back into their MonsterVerse for a while. But in December of 2020, it was announced that the reboot was back in development. Julius Avery will serve as director, in addition to doing a rewrite of an original script by Eric Pearson. James Wan of the Conjureverse fame will serve as producer. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled for Van Helsing 2, still Helsinging.
James Wan, who is, by the way, out there just trying shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good example of somebody who's just like, I don't know, let's just keep doing shit. Like, at least the first couple of Conjuring movies, pretty original. And you know what? Good for James. I'm glad that he's going to be spearheading this project.
Yeah, and his new movie *Malignant*, which one of my favorite YouTubers got into, Kenny JD, KENNIE. She did a wonderful recap of *Malignant*. Did not know that what that movie is about is what it's about, and it is fucking crazy. So I sure do hope, listeners, that this one is also wild.
Yeah, we will. We just did a whole thing about reboots being terrible, and I think there's a difference, right? Universal Pictures is a big company, but like there is something to be said for supporting the people that aren't Disney. I try to watch those MonsterVerse movies, mostly because we love kaiju shit, but also I do feel like not to say that supporting Universal is some sort of like anti-capitalist move by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm mostly just worried about monopolies, and I do not think Universal is too big just yet. So I'm interested to see how they're going to play this out. I don't know if they can do it quite in the same way with the same flair as the '04 Helsing, but we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think the heart of the matter is very much like, are you rebooting a successful property to keep pumping out money, right? So like the Disney rebooting the Disney classics as live action, like those movies made a ton of money. You could just re-release them in theaters. They will make a ton of money. But instead they had to go and make whole new movies about it for, I don't know who the audience is for those, to be quite honest with you. Then there's a difference between that and taking a movie that had a lot of potential and was insane, and trying to give it like new life. I think I don't really love the idea of either, but I think there is a place for it. Like, I am definitely excited for the KOTOR remake, the Knights of the Old Republic, the Star Wars game that Aspyr is doing. I'm super excited for that, even though, again, reboots and I are like on shaky ground at best, I think we should say.
Yeah, we'll see what comes out of this, but I thought this was a good, we were in a little bit of a pinch, but I think we pulled it off. We'll see what the future holds for Van Helsing, and then we'll certainly see what the future holds, or the past at least held, for Mr. Jackman in the new year. But I thought this was a fun one.
Yeah, I'm delighted that you watched it. It truly, what a movie. What a flick.
What a flick, certainly. Leyla, we're not, equivocating about whether or not we think reboots are great. Where can people find us on the internet?
At LEYLSES on Twitter and Tumblr, where I just am, I guess. I just moved all my essays over to Ko-fi, as I said in the last episode. They're vibing there. They are free to read, but if you want to tip me, you can. I think my next one, I am debating, given that I am rewatching a bunch of like early 2000s anime right now with various friends, I am debating writing about Kagome Higurashi and why she's a perfect protagonist. We'll find out. Aaron, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AaronSXL, where I talk about tabletop RPGs and health policy. You can listen to the other podcast I do at The Bible Boys, where we will be, continuing our vampire theme with Midnight Mass. That'll come out on Wednesday. You can download the Exorcism tabletop game that I wrote. I Adjure You Ancient Serpent. I'll put a link to that into the episode description. That's also on my itch.io at aaronsxl.itch.io. Yeah, I also think I'm going to write an essay about Midnight Mass, specifically about its themes of reconciliation and forgiveness, just because that would really hit home for me. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully I'll have that done, and I'll post a link to that in the show notes. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Oh, Leyla. I mean, what should we say to them, our listeners, as we close out this episode? You know, how do we wish them? I can't do it. I can't do it.
Hey, Aaron, the fact that you're fucking up our outro right now, I wish you a week in hell for that.
It would be a nice reprieve. We'll see y'all next week.